interesting passage for this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, for Jesus to be talking to us about peace on Memorial Day weekend. And what makes it particularly interesting is the way Jesus talks about peace. He says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives." Now there's a temptation to make this a sort of, a spiritualized saying, that it's not a practical statement, that it doesn't have an impact on our actual lives, But Jesus is speaking to people in a particular time and place. And of course, we believe that these words still are speaking to us in our particular time and place as well. The time at which Jesus is speaking to people is part of that time of the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. This great era of peace in the world, where the Roman Empire had conquered all of these lands and everyone lived in peace. And yet, that is not the peace that God gives. That is not the gift that God gives. Because that is peace, in air quotes. That is a peace that was brought about by untold counts of violence. Conquering is not a gentle activity. Conquering is not a peaceful activity. And it was peace that was kept in place by oppression, by quelling of dissent, by fear of violence. And this is what we think about, I think, when we think of peace, and what we can mostly only conceive of when we think of peace is the result of quelling of dissent, the result of an end of a conflict, is the result of someone in power making sure nobody else does anything bad. When we think of peace, I think that is most often what we think of, right? The end of war, the end of conflict. And that's a good thing. I would like to see an end to war and an end to conflict. But the peace that Christ is offering us in this passage is far more than just the absence of violence or the absence of conflict. Because whenever we as humans create peace, it has usually been brought about through violent means. It has usually been brought about through some kind of power struggle and somebody gaining power. Peace as we can conceive of it, peace as we can conceive it and create it, is not true peace. Christ gives us a gift that is so much deeper than the peace that our world has ever known. My peace, he says, I give to you. Not just the ability to end a fight, not just the ability to gain the upper hand and therefore stop somebody from doing what you think is the wrong thing to do. But Christ calls us into a peace that is the absence of violence, not the result of. Christ calls us into a peace that is the absence of power differentials, not the result of. Christ calls us, gifts us with, and invites us to strive toward a peace that honors everyone, that values everyone, that meets the needs of every human being and every creature and plant and thing created by God. Now, you can say, that's impossible. And it is, for us, impossible. This is not a peace we can make. This is not a peace we can create. But Jesus isn't asking us to do that. Jesus is giving us a gift. A gift of peace. Jesus is giving us this peace as a gift. A gift that he gives not as the world gives, he says. Having recovered from, having just had yesterday a very large family party, celebrating 3 birthdays and receiving several gifts. This is how the world gives gifts. Some people brought gifts to the party just for those for whom it was the birthday, and then the other kids felt left out. Some people made sure everybody had a gift, big ones for the birthday folks, and littler ones from the dollar store to make everybody feel okay. Some people bought gifts within a certain budget, right? When we go buying gifts for our kids' friends for their birthday parties, I say, you can spend this much. Gotta find something in the budget. Some people bought gifts that I am fairly certain by the time I get home today will already be broken. Because the people who design children's toys and the people who market children's toys are not the people who then have to live with the children's toys. This is how we give gifts. Human gifts can break or wear out, or get stale or old-fashioned. Human gifts might be a fad that nobody will want in 6 months. Anybody ever buy a Furby?
I still have mine.
Is it like locked up in a closet somewhere?
Well, it's in our storage unit.
Yeah.
It boxed the whole way there, and everything left.
Yeah. Somebody gave us a Furby, and I put it in a cupboard in the kitchen because I couldn't really. I didn't have the heart to put it in the basement because they are designed to sort of engender emotion, and so I shut them in a cupboard instead. But yeah, some human gifts are fads that we will either immediately regret or 6 months later just not really care about anymore. Human gifts are purchased with a budget in mind. Human gifts are limited, right, in every way. But the peace that Christ gives us, this gift that he gives, is not as the world gives. The gift of peace that we receive from Christ is not a fad. We're not going to regret it and stick it in a cupboard or a storage unit. We're not going to lose interest in it in 6 months. It's not something that he budgeted for. It is beyond price. It's not something that when it breaks, well, it can't break. When we think it's broken, it will be renewed. It's not something that if we think we've misplaced it, we can't get another one, for we will never lose it. The peace that Christ gives us is a gift and a calling through the waters of baptism to recognize where our human peacekeeping and peacemaking efforts fall short, and where we in our own lives and in our own relationships and with our own abilities can inch us closer to a world of true peace. Because I agree, it's impossible for us. But we are not the ones who have made this thing. We are not the ones who have given this gift. It is Christ who gives this gift. It is God who has made this peace. The whole world in harmony. All peoples living together. Not just tolerating each other, but recognizing the value in the other, loving them as a child of God, and working together. It's not easy. It's not instantly gratifying. But it's what we are called to be as the body of Christ. Christ's peace he has given to us, not as the world gives, but as God gives, with abundance, with an irrational amount of grace and generosity, with Christ's unending love for all of God's children. Amen.